Hey, welcome back to SoberNow.com. I'm Jim LaPierre. Today we're going to be talking about the fear of falling apart. And this is a really common one. It's common in all stages of recovery. Uh, Most often, I'm talking with somebody who's already got some sober time put together and they know they're carrying some baggage. It's usually some really painful, unresolved stuff from the past, most often trauma. And they find progressively that it's affecting their lives, but they're afraid to address it. They're afraid to even touch it. Quite often it feels like Pandora's box. If I open this, I'm not going to be able to put it away. I'm not going to be able to function. In fact, on an emotional level, this is where we start feeling like Humpty Dumpty. I'm going to fall apart and I'm never going to be able to be put back together again. So I have some really good news for you about that. I've never actually seen that happen. I've seen lots of folks who were emotionally overwhelmed. They got in touch with something that was very painful, most often a secret, something that they were sharing for the very first time. And there is an emotional response that follows. Folks break down a bit, they cry, they get in touch with something that they've held on to for a long time. And that's common, but I reassure them the very worst that I've ever seen happen because somebody opened up and shared something that was painful was they cried themselves to sleep. And they woke up in the morning, maybe felt like they had a little bit of a hangover, an emotional hangover, not one from substances. It's the dehydration and the headache that sometimes comes after crying so much. But the good news is that's the worst that can possibly happen. No, we don't get to a point where we just can't function or just can't meet our life responsibilities because we shared something painful. Conversely, I have met a lot of folks who just kind of broke down because what they've been carrying for so long created so much pressure and progressively had a negative impact on their life and limited really what was possible for them. So, what I say to folks, and I know that sometimes this is hard to hear, you can do the work because you choose to, or you can do the work because you get to a point where the cost of not doing it is simply too great and it becomes overwhelming. For most of us, there's this belief, my friends in recovery call it being terminally unique. We have this belief that nobody's quite as big a mess as we are, nobody's as ashamed or has as much reason to be ashamed, and we fall into this pattern in which we judge ourselves by virtue of our emotional experience. That's especially true when we realize that the things we're afraid of today or the things that are really getting in our way today are irrational or disproportionate to what's going on in our lives today. And this is a really important juncture to learn some patience with yourself, because if you find that what's getting to you today are little things, or that you're far more upset than perhaps the situation you're in now warrants, that's a good sign that you're getting in touch. Something from your present is colliding with something from your past. And so my experience is most of us in recovery have enormous amounts of empathy for other people, but we tend to lack compassion for ourselves. So I'm always encouraging folks to use that golden rule in reverse. Treat yourself the way you would treat a friend, or at least, somebody that, even a complete stranger, you would probably treat with more kindness than you tend to treat yourself. When you're feeling emotionally raw, whether that's because stress, sleep deprivation, just life circumstances, or sometimes because of memories surfacing, that's a really tough time. You may find that you're irritable, you may find that you're impulsive, you may find that it's really difficult to take good care of yourself. And of course, it's all the more vital that you do so. Any good coach, any good counselor or therapist should be more than qualified to help you walk through what you need to share and help you find some ways of living with the things that we can't forget. Too many of us in recovery hope that we can forget things. We avoid triggers, things that bring up past memories, and progressively that too makes life unmanageable. So, by all means, share what you need to share. Put it on paper. Do some journaling. Get it written down. if it only exists inside your head, it's going to keep going around in circles. It's going to be part of that perpetual hamster wheel where we incur a lot of undue stress. And please just notice. If you're judging your emotions, notice how you're relating to yourself, what your self-talk is, and be kind. Or at the very least, be fair and respectful to yourself in much the way that you would be if it was somebody else's life. So I want you to take those things to heart and consider that the fear of falling apart is very common for all of us in recovery, but it doesn't actually happen, not by virtue of sharing, not by virtue of expressing our memories, our feelings, our thoughts. And you can do this now when you have the option of doing it, when it's something that you feel like you can do in a healthy way, or you can wait. And I hate to see people wait, because what I know is that when we procrastinate these things, we tend to accumulate stress, we tend to accumulate pain, we build new resentments, and progressively these things make life less manageable. So investing in your recovery means progressively making your life more manageable, and it means letting go of baggage. All of these things become too much, they're too heavy to carry. And so I want you to be able to lighten up in a meaningful way. I want you to have greater freedom and happiness in your recovery. We didn't get sober to stay miserable. Letting go of the past is not a one-time event. It's not something that we just think our way out of. It's something that we have to experience, express, and release. And it takes what it takes. So please be good to yourselves. Please share the videos if you like them. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give me a like. That'd be really cool. And email me, jim@sobernow.com. Let's keep these conversations going. I'm wide open to topics that you'd like to see addressed or questions that you'd like to see answered. Thank you. Keep investing in you, and have a great day.